Good morning.
It is.
How are you?
Good.
I have 3 or 4 questions, I think, on different topics. As far as background, I grew up in a really Christian family, but somehow the scriptures around whatsoever you believe without doubt, so shall it be, stuck in my head when I was a kid.
Good.
So when I was younger, I would just say, well, I really want a job. Like I'd be 14, I'd say I really want a job. And I would just throw it out to the universe and then go about my way. And as you can imagine, it always worked out. So over the years, I'd have people say, you have great mojo, or life is working out for you. And I would do things like I'd lay in bed and I'd imagine this whole list of things that would be fun to do and accomplish in life, like living overseas and meeting great people and having an amazing time. And over time, it all happened. So I've had an amazing life, wonderful life. About a year ago, I got moved back from overseas to the States, and I realized as I was thinking about what I wanted to do next, that like my whole list of things I'd dreamed about as a kid had been checked off. Like the universe had delivered almost everything I could think about. Every time I'd say I wanted something to happen and I'd feel some angst or resistance, I would say, you know what? I just want more fun, more freedom, more finances. And it was funny because the first time I heard you, and you'd say if you're struggling with resistance, go more general. Well, all my life, I just go more general to saying more fun, more freedom, more finances. So the first time in my life, I'd gotten to this place going, life is good, but I've already lived overseas, I've already met amazing people, I've had amazing jobs, I've had a great career, and I sort of felt a little stuck in my joy. And I don't know if that's really the right way of saying it. But,
well, it is the right way of saying it, because there is no ending to what will come. But it's not an uncommon thing to have someone say to us, there were many things I wanted and they weren't coming about. This is not what you're saying. Many things I wanted and they were not coming about. And once I began listening here and relaxing more and doing a little bit of meditation and a little bit more positive thinking, things began to turn around. And it was as if the rubber band had been pulled far back, and then when they let go of it, a lot happened fast. And then they were wanting to stir more things up. Mm-hmm. That's not exactly what you're saying. What you're saying is something that we're going to take issue with a little bit.
Sure.
What you're saying is that your life yielded to you desires, and because of your state of allowing, we agree with this, your desires came to fruition. But the part that we disagree with is that we know that with everything that is coming to fruition, more is being put into the vortex. And your vortex is more full now than it was at the beginning of what you were describing. And your state of allowing will allow a continuation of that. Mm-hmm. We have said on many occasions that the mantra of the universe is more. So there is certainly nothing wrong with saying more pleasure, more delight, more interaction, more insight, more awareness, more questions. More questions. Because when your desire is more questions, then it's inevitable that there will be more answers, more opportunity, more exposure, more allowance, more understanding, more specifics. Mm-hmm. There's no ending to what the universe will yield to you.
Right. And in the past, if I was in this place, I would just sort of imagine different options. Maybe living overseas again, maybe a new house that you can get creative with. And something would always light up. And I'd be like, that sounds fun. And then I'd put it out to the universe, and I'd know that the process would begin. And for some reason, things were not lighting up in the same way. It's not bad. It just was different.
If things are not lighting up, that means that there is some resistance there.
Sure.
Always. Mm-hmm. That's always the case. Because these things are certain. Your vortex is as full as it ever has been. Law of attraction is responding to it, and it is gathering momentum. And there are things, not just things, experiences. There is life in this vortex that is ripe and ready for your realization. So if those realizations aren't happening, it's for only one reason. There's resistance that's keeping you from, and it could be something as simple as saying, I've checked everything off my list. Mm-hmm. And we say, not even close.
Right.
There's a list that you're not even taking into consideration, you see.
So dream bigger, think bigger.
It isn't dream bigger. It isn't think bigger. This is the thing that you're helping us say in the most wonderful way. This matters a lot.
Yeah, because life is good. It's not, you know what I mean? Usually there's contrast.
We do. And you're going to get this in a very profound way, and you all will too. So just settle in here, because this matters. So you often think that what deliberate creation is identifying a desire and then somehow making it happen. That's why you talk about goal setting and so forth, and discipline and so forth. So we began talking to you a while ago about this vortex, this gathering of all preferences, big ones and small ones, because this gathering place of preferences is what the future world is all about. Those who have lived before and those who are living now are creating lives for future generations even. This is how the expansion and the evolution of all things happens. But let's not talk about future generations. Let's just talk about you and your vortex and all that you've put there. So we want you to feel, and we think you're going to in this conversation, we want you to feel the indescribableness of the contents of the vortex. We want you to feel the importance of the contents, the ingredients that you've put there incrementally, and the potential that those ingredients mean to one another as they coalesce. The potential of more that the individual components that you've put there, that you can't even recognize, but what they mean. But the source within you knows what they mean and is tending them. And law of attraction is gathering the cooperative components. And you are expanding as a non-physical being beyond our ability to really put into words, but we don't need to put it into words because your life will put it into life. So these components are gathering, and you're doing whatever you're doing in relationship to your receptive mode. And then when you are at the vibrational frequency to allow an understanding of what's there, bam, the idea occurs to you, the desire occurs to you. Oh, did you hear how much went before you got the idea? And the reason that we're putting it to you like this is because we want you to feel all of the momentum that has happened before this sure thing occurred to you. Before this sure thing occurred to you. Feel the sure thingliness of it. Before this sure thing occurred to you. So the conversation that we want to have with you is that it was never your plan to be able to look out into the world and make that bucket list. It was never your plan to be able to look around and just sit and identify one day, well, I want some of this, and I want some of this, and I want some of this, because the complexity of what's here and what it is creating and what you will realize as a result of what you have put there. That's why we say, let the universe surprise and delight you. And so often you say, well, why would it be surprising me? Why isn't it just giving me what I told it I wanted? But there is surprise and delight. It's like, and this is a very rudimentary example, but it's like putting the ingredients for the cake into the mixing bowl. And when you put the flour in, it's not that exciting. You put the flour in, you put the eggs in, you put the whatever in, you put it in, you put the stuff in, you put the stuff in, you put all the stuff in, you put the stuff in, and then you mix it up. And then it's pretty good. Once you've mixed it up, rags won't hurt you. And then you bake it, and then it's even better. But what we're getting at is, at any stage along the way, it wasn't necessarily something that you were turning cartwheels over. And in a way, bigger way, the components that you've been putting into your vortex and what they mean to each other, and Source's realization of what they mean to each other, and then the expansion and the momentum and what they mean to others. You see, your vortex is never standing alone, separate from the other vortexes of the world. Things are happening that you want to realize. So, did we make our point with you?
I'm glad they got it. I'll listen to it again afterwards, I'm sure.
We are going to make this point with you. For a long time, we've been wanting you, all of you, to put more emphasis on the receiving mode than on the wanting. We've said to you, wanting just happens. It just happens. Haven't you heard us say that many times? Your desire just happens. It just happens. And the answering just happens. It just happens. Where the value and the fun and the life that you've come to live, the part that you play in it, is getting into that receptive mode and becoming the realizer of it. So when you say to us, I don't really know for sure what I want, it feels like most everything I wanted came, we want to say to you, oh, But finally, the true desire that you've always been reaching for is occurring to you. And that's the eternal nature of your being. That's the ability to be in that place of joyous receiving at all times. That's that expansive realization that there's no ending to that which is you. That's the savoring. That's the making a big deal over the subtle stuff. Esther was with some friends last week, and they were playing. They spent a few days together, did lots of fun things together. But the thing that made the week so wonderful was the spontaneous things that occurred as a result of the mix of the four of them. What could not have happened if they were not together? And that surprise factor that we want you to be aware of. We want you to be aware of what you've put into the vortex and what law of attraction has gathered to it. And it's the discovery. That's really the piece that we want to give to you. We want you to be excited about the discovery of your desire. So don't you think that's a wonderful thing? It's the discovery of desire. Because the way you started out, oh, this matters so much. The way you started out was, hey, Abraham, I had this list of desires. You went down. I had this list of desires. And then I accomplished this list of desires. And now I don't know what to do. And we say, don't miss the point. Your life is your life in order to give you the next desire. The next desire. The next desire. So then we say, it's in there. It's in there. Just keep doing what you're doing, and it will occur to you. And the next one will take your breath away. And the one after that, too. And the one after that, too. Because you're supposed to be excited about life. Sometimes humans who haven't been understanding this for a while think that what life is about getting all these things that you want done, and then you'll rest. Finally, then. Finally. And we say, that's not how you're wired at all. You didn't come to get anything done. You came to stir more stuff up to do. You came to stir more up to be excited about, more to realize, more to experience, more to understand, deeper understanding. Did we get there that time?
I think so. I do. It's funny because just in the last year, my best friend, who is an agnostic scientist, literally just sort of chucked it all to the side and said, that's too slow, it's too boring, and I'm not enjoying life. And he's like gotten completely into, I don't want to call it Abraham, but the process of creation through vibration. And I never thought that would happen. And then some family members who've listened to you for years, it seems to really finally be clicking. And what's been interesting, just in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been spending more time with them, and there is a newness to the co-creation, not just the individual creation, but something very exciting about them together and co-creating something as a larger entity.
Because their inner beings have been cohorts for a long time.
Yeah.
And now more of them are coming into the receptive mode of what their inner beings have known all along. And creation without understanding of vibration and without deliberate focus of vibrational frequency through the awareness of emotions, any creation that does not include this understanding is puny mediocrity. And when you tap into this energy that creates worlds, and you allow yourself doses of that energy flowing through you, and you stand in witness of what that produces, then life takes on a whole new framework, doesn't it? Then you begin to realize who you are and why you're here. Then you become expectant of wonderful things happening. Then you become deliberate and expectant of it being good all of the time. You realize there's no price to pay.
Life is fun always.